These are some of my favorite earrings that I've ever made with polymer clay, glitter, chalk paint, crystals. So much fun. So I want to show you how to make similar earrings. These were made with scrap clay that came out sort of a gray purpley color because I just pulled a bunch of stuff off my desk to make them with. So this is what you'll need. You'll need some scrap clay. If you want it to be a certain color, then gather up all of your scraps in that color and blend them together. I just need to condition this into a flat sheet. And you'll need some glitter. This color is Purple Passion from createalong.com. And my trusty dusty coffee filter is how I get the glitter back into the container after you've opened it and dumped it out. So first let's get the glitter onto the clay. I'm using my acrylic rolling rod, and we do have a very few of these left. They're in our Etsy shop, actually. I'll drop the link below the video. These are super fun 8 by 1 inch acrylic rods that have bubbles in them, and they're colored so that they don't get lost on your work surface. And I usually start my process of conditioning by starting to get the clay moving with my rod. Now, if your clay is particularly stiff, you can whack it with the rod. This clay is pretty well moving. I've been using this lump of clay for quite a few things, and I'm down to the last bit. So now it's going to go to the pasta machine. And I have an Atlas 180 pasta machine with motor, and this is rolled to a number 2 setting on that machine, and that I find is perfect for earrings. It's thin, lightweight, but not too thin, right? So I can still drill holes in it and stuff, and it's nice and sturdy. So I need a tile because when glittering, I don't like to do it directly on the glass surface. I like to put it on the tile. And I'm just going to roll over this a little bit and stick the clay down onto the tile itself. Of course, the clay wants to stick to my rod today, so it's not going to listen. I'll do it with this. Got a deli sheet here. I'm just going to press on the clay and attempt to get it stuck on that tile. There we go. And now I'm going to dump some glitter out onto it and press it into the surface. This is a chunky glitter. So I'm going to rub it and press it. I want chunks and the fine parts to be like nice and evenly blended. I want anything that's really not stuck to the clay to come off now. So I'm gonna make sure that that happens. Look at how fancy that is. So pretty. Okay. I keep a makeup brush around for this, specifically for my clay projects, so that I can clean up anything around the edges that's not really stuck on there and get it back with the rest of its glitter friends, because we all know loose glitter in the craft room is a problem. It gets on everything. All right. And now these little bags kind of stand up on their own if you work it a little bit. And we'll just reclaim the rest of this glitter back into the package. All right, now for tools. I've got my Trip to India silkscreen, which has a bunch of, like a variety of different patterns on it, and I really like this one. In fact, I do think that it's the same one I used on this one. And the reason I like it is because it kind of looks like Sari Fabric from India. And then I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paint because this comes out really great on polymer clay. Now the challenge, and you'll be able to see it on this pair, the challenge is that when you're doing something like this over glitter, your pattern's going to come out not perfect. It's going to come out a little bit, I don't know how to say it, like it's not blobby, but it's not super defined either, which I like because it's kind of antiqued looking. It's not perfect, and that's actually what I'm going for. So now I'm going to set this up here. And one of the reasons why it doesn't come out perfect on a glittered surface is because the glittered surface is a little bit slick and a little bit harder to get that silkscreen to really stick down to it. So for this process, you kind of have to hold the screen and swipe a couple times and just be done with it. Because if you move too fast and try too hard, you're just not going to get a good result. You're just going to get everything shifting and not working right. So the color here is Ballet Slipper in Waverly, which is a very nice little light pink color. And this is a liquidy paint. So we're going to pour some out onto the squeegee itself. Don't really need that much paint. I always end up using probably too much. So I'm going to take some back, hold this here, and just swipe a couple of times. And not be too precious with this process. I know I've got enough surface area here to do a decent pair of earrings. And I'm going to go wash my screen. So my silk screen is drying by the sink, and my paint needs to dry before I go any further. I'm testing out some new cutters that make different designs so I can dangle beads and stuff from different places on them. So I know I have enough clay here to do both sets of these. So let's just pick some spots. I want to get pattern, and I want to see, because this is going to be, this will be blank, like this will be a hole. So I'm going to center this whole area in a spot where it won't matter so much if I'm missing part of the pattern. So let's play around with that. So I'll do one of these here. And this is really how I prefer to press on my cutters. Big cutters, I'll use my big piece of acrylic, and smaller cutters, I'll use the small one. It's got kind of like finger areas on the side to hold on to it. I like to do even pressure on the whole cutter at one time. And I find that using my acrylic block really helps with that. And then it's going to pull right out because our cutters are nice and sharp. So let me see here. I really like that little section there, so I'll probably try this one, which will capture that middle part. It'll still be there. All right, let's see. Cool. All right, and then let's find something to match this one. I might even turn it. And then find a good spot for this one. That could be interesting. There's a curve here. Yeah, okay. Now, another thing that I do is I keep a little box. These are what our Create Along box and Let's Make Earrings kit come in, this clamshell, and it's really convenient for holding my small cutters because I like to keep them on my surface here. Generally, I don't put these away because I know I might want to pull one out and use it for something. So I have some spaces here where I know I could fit a couple of these little cutters and make some studs. Because, you know, I'm all about not wasting an opportunity to cut out some clay. So I'm gonna make sure that I get these pieces for later. There we go. I don't know if you can hear that, but there is a rollicking thunderstorm going on right outside my window right now. All right, that's a good one. And what other shape do I have? This is an interesting shape. I wonder if I could get a couple of these on this corner. If I can only get one, oh well. It's kind of a weird big shape. I think I can get two. If I kind of go off center. There we go. Okay, so I'll put my little studs back in my case here for safekeeping. And those, and this is what I've got. All right, so now we're going to do the pull. So I'm going to lift up the edge here and just try to pull the scrap out from around all these pieces. It works pretty easily because those cutters are sharp and I had the clay stuck pretty firmly to the tile. All right, so that's our shapes, and the interior of these shapes can come out now, but I think I might just leave them because they're all cut. I know that they're cut all the way through, so after baking I can just pop them out, and I'll show that to you. Now here is a really great question. What do I do with this? All right, let's talk about that. So there are some cool patterned sections here, and I definitely want to keep these to the side because I'm already forming an idea of how they could be used. So I'm going to cut that off. Meow, meow. Hear my kitty. And now I've got my bead baking rack and my bead pin refill. And these are available at Create Along as well. This is our exclusive product. This is an aluminum rack that holds 20 pins, and the pins come with it, and it suspends beads and things for baking. So this being my base clay, I can bake it with the glitter on it. And I have been using, like I said, this scrap for a while, but I also have this scrap because I was playing with magic transfer paper. And I think I'm going to just use a piece of this to just kind of make a core. And then I'm going to put this glitter clay on the outside of it. See, like that. And I've got this little section, but I want to wrap some of this pattern stuff around the bead as well. Not on all of the bead, but just kind of on part of it. I'm going to press it in, and then I'll roll it, and then I'll put it on a pin. So when you roll, you want to compress. Really get that clay to stick to itself in a small area. Okay. You can open it up. If you roll it around the edge of your hand, like this, like around the edge of your palm, you get more of an oval shape. And then we can put it on the pointy end of this pin here. I'm gently twisting, kind of spinning, kind of want to see where it's going to come out. If it's not going to be straight, I can adjust. Okay. Now, isn't that a fun and fancy bead? And I'm just gonna put this here, and when I have a bunch of those, I'll bake them. All right, so here's my finished baked pieces. They're ready for me to remove them from the tile. So here's one, and I'm really excited because I'm gonna like tie things or do things with this shape. I envisioned it to be like for macrame, to be able to tie on a bottom piece, or maybe I'll just put big jump rings and dangle stuff off of here. Or you could flip it this way, drill some holes. Lots of ways to use a piece like this. So for now, I'm just gonna do that, set this to the side because I don't need this little guy right now. And they need to be removed, so we can lift them from the tile with a blade, and then they are cut all the way through. So you just punch this out carefully. I just didn't feel like doing this before baking because I didn't want to distort the pieces. Sometimes if you don't have a gentle enough touch, you can kind of bend these pieces out of circle if you do it before you bake. So I just figured I'd do it like this. And that I can leave on the tile. This one I want to pop off. Just want to get that piece out of there. And let me see if I can actually poke this out and leave the bigger piece stuck to the tile. Yeah, I think that I can. So you can do it that way too. Just use some kind of a needle tool and pull the excess pieces out. This round piece is maybe a little too small to use for a stud, so I'm not that concerned about keeping it around. I'll just leave these pieces off to the side, and maybe one day I'll do a mosaic or something and I'll use those. I never throw anything away. Okay, next I like to give these pieces a little bit of a sanding because see that? You've got these little edge things on a glittered piece like this. You usually have chunks of glitter hanging off the sides like that. So I'm gonna go for a beefier sanding tool. This is kind of my go-to. It's a 100 grit coarse nail file, and it really knocks down those big chunks of glitter very quickly and easily. And it's not a Dremel, so I'm not really in danger of hurting the earring piece or my hand. You know, I get nervous watching some of these videos where people are using a quickly rotating Dremel on a tiny little earring. I don't want to do that. Okay, so if you feel the need to do a little bit of sanding, I'm really just kind of knocking off the big edges here on the circle. And next I'm going to go to resin. Aren't these cool? I mean, I'm really pretty excited about these. Okay, so this is the resin that I like to use. It's Lumino. I got it on Amazon. It is crystal clear hard type resin, and all you have to do is keep your resin bottle protected. I keep mine like in the closet, and when you're ready to use it, pull it out and use it quickly. I need to put glasses on because I can't see up close. Okay, so I'm going to resin because I want that super shine, and that shine brings out the glitter. I'm going to do these one at a time because there's some intricacy here and I don't want to have to rush. So I'm just spreading this out with a metal like pin kind of a tool, because if you use this on a brush, you're going to wreck it unless you're very, very careful. This resin's kind of thick. The resin really makes the glitter pop, which is why I like to resin over my glitter earrings. And this resin is a doming type, which means it's gonna make that nice high dome over wherever you put it. And then once you have it on there and spread out, it's okay. Because if it starts hardening in the light now, I'm fine. I just don't want it to harden before I'm done spreading it out, because that makes it a little bit more difficult in the end. If you can get the resined bits to touch each other, then it'll kind of flow into itself and level out. And of course, we don't want it to drip over the edge. So you try to take it to the edge and not over the edge, because then you just get a big mess. It starts spilling. All right, and then these will be a little easier. The space to fill on these is different. So just spread it out, let it level. Really with this, it's just making sure that it's going out to the edge, because if it hits like a little bump in the road, it won't want to go all the way out to the edge. And by bump in the road, I mean like a little glitch in the surface where it's not completely flat, and then your resin will say, well, I guess I just don't have to go there. And you want it to go over the entire surface. So sometimes you need to encourage it to spread itself out. I'm going to pull this over this way because I know that I dripped that over the edge of that piece. I'm going to need to go in there with a paper towel and clean it up. Otherwise, you have to sand a whole bunch of resin off the outer edge when you're done. All right, so I'm going to finish these and then show you my light. One last little trick before these go under the curing lamp. So I left this little coffee filter out with the random larger pieces of glitter, and I'm going to press those in. Just going to pick them up with my tool here and press a couple of them in on random spots, because I like how these big pieces of glitter catch the light. And many of them right now are under that paint. So I'm going to bring some back and just kind of set them in under this layer of resin, so that when the earrings dangle and sway, those big chunks of glitter sparkle. Just kind of putting them in random spots and letting the resin ooze back over it. Now, this one, this one I have a problem. You might not see it on film, but the whole interior of that cutout is full of resin. Because it must have found a spot to like drip. All right, so what I'm gonna do about that is I'm gonna pull that piece off and start over, because I want it to, I don't want a window there, I want it to be open. So here we go. Gonna move this guy over, and I'm gonna pick this one up and put it on my paper. You want to keep some kind of paper. This is a paper rag, like from a home supply store. I buy boxes of them. I'll show that on another video maybe, for cleanup, because if you clean up with a regular rag, you're going to ruin the rag. Resin is not very clean upable. You kind of have to just make a mess and move forward and not use anything that you want to keep around, like a towel or a rag or something, because the resin just hardens into it or stays sticky forever. And either way, it's not good. Okay, I'm gonna put it into my UV lamp, which I actually have sitting right here. And then I'm gonna show you what that looks like. This is a stamp maker by Teresa Collins. I'm not sure if they make them anymore, but it's big enough to hold my 6x6 inch tile, so I really like it. And it has like an on-off switch that I can keep it on for infinity, so I can keep it on for a couple minutes and cure the resin. All right, these are done. Look at how pretty and shiny they are. And now you can use them for anything. So I'm gonna think about what kind of earrings I want to make, whether I want to do this one up or down, and I'll show you the final product. So I decided I want to put the hole in the top of these and maybe use some big jump rings at the bottom. So I'm gonna line them up and drill holes. All right, some people ask me why I drill my holes after baking and resining and all that, and it's because I like how it looks. I like it to be neat. So I picked out these beads. They're like pretty iridescent mermaidy beads. They're mother of pearl with a titanium coating, I believe. Got them at the last bead show I went to. I've got some wire here. This is copper. It is parawire 20 gauge. And I've got some ball end head pins. So these are going to be for these. I'm going to make them into drops. So let's make sure these are going to fit. Sometimes they don't through the mother of pearls because they can be drilled kind of funny. So I'm seeing that this might not fit through that bead. Let's find one that it will fit through. This is an issue with pearls too, because they drill them kind of delicately and sometimes the holes won't accept like a thicker pin or wire. Okay, but these will. So we're gonna just make little loops for them. And I like to hold on to this so that I can knock that over and then bring it back. A little bit harder to do on film, but basically I just want to get this to wrap around itself and close. So that I've captured the bead and made a loop. I'll try again on this one. I may not want to do such a big base for it. Let me try this one a different way. Very close down there. I'm just going to make a tiny little loop right at the end here. Yeah, this one's better. See that? And now I can just wrap this little tail around itself and close that up. You want your earring things to be neat if you're going to make little dangles and stuff. So you want to tuck in all the ends. Make sure that they're not going to catch on someone's hair when they're wearing them. Okay, so now we have the loop, and how I was going to do this part was just open this big ring, put this on here, and put this on the bottom of the earring. That's cute. So it's got this little big dangle that can sway and move. And then for the top, we need to find a bead that I can put on this wire. And I might need to go down a size. I do think this 20 gauge is probably too big for the pearl. Let's see. Yeah, all right. This is a 24 gauge. It should work just fine. So we're going to take a piece of this. And we're going to make a loop. And we're putting this bead on this wrap. And we're just going to make another wrap at the top. And after I'm done doing that, I do like to take my flat pliers and push down those little ends. Again, don't leave anything sticking out. Okay, so now the top of the earring is going to have one of these big rings going through the hole and attaching to that bead. Like so, and to top it all off, a hook. I hope you enjoyed Polymer Clay TV today. Go make some earrings.